Unfortunately, Brock Lesnar versus The Undertaker is one of the matches that I care the least about. And The Undertaker is by far my favorite competitor out of everybody on this entire card, including all the people in the Battle Royal. And I could not care less. This is a freaking awful feud, and it could have been so much better. It could have even just been better if they would have put the slightest modicum of effort into it. But they've almost booked themselves in the total opposite way of what makes sense. I've never seen a streak match advertised as Undertaker is definitely going to fucking retain the streak. Maybe they're doing that just because they want to switch it up and they're bored with the idea of Undertaker looking weak and he might end up losing. But holy shit, is it bad for this? This is awful.
Well, here's the problem, and I think we might have mentioned this last week when we did, well, a couple days ago when we did the Raw post show. The big mystique behind this was because it was a real Undertaker going up against a real Brock Lesnar. You know, the whole build up behind this was when they did that stare down after the UFC pay per view where you had, I wouldn't say real Undertaker, but more closer to the biker Big Evil Undertaker than the dead man Undertaker up against Brock Lesnar, and you had the sense that it was just two tough guys slugging it out, seeing who the better man was. They've completely taken that and just made it a standard, Undertaker as the dead man doing his weird voodoo to get into the mind of Brock Lesnar, and they basically just watered this down into just your standard pablum. And I think it's unfortunate because I do think that there is money in a Brock Lesnar versus Undertaker feud, but they've gone completely in the wrong direction with this. I think if they would have let Undertaker come out and be a little bit more real about it, it would have fit better and it would have been easier to market. As is, like you said, it is what it is. It's just the Undertaker barreling his way through another opponent.
Anybody agree, disagree?
Nope.
Well, what do you think about this, Peyton?
Taker and Lesnar?
Mm-hmm.
What's there to think about it? There's been like nothing done over these last couple weeks between these guys. This has to be one of the most piss poor builds for any Undertaker match in the history of Undertaker defending his streak since they actually made the streak a deal. I mean, I'm not talking about like Giant Gonzalez or any of that crap, but since like the Legend Killer build, this is by far the worst one they've done. Brock Lesnar does not seem like a threat at all. I am not worried about Undertaker losing at all. I have Undertaker on my fantasy league team, and it's a surefire thing, which would have been a surefire thing pretty much any other year. But oh my gosh, this year there's no doubt at all. I mean, usually when you search around, you look through YouTube comments or go on wrestling boards, there's always those people like, oh, CM Punk might be able to do it. Shawn Michaels might be able to do it. There's nobody saying that Brock Lesnar has a chance.
And imagine if they just did have him win. How disappointing everybody would feel. They would just be like, you finally have somebody beat The Undertaker, and that was the fucking build.
No,
Awful.
I don't think they would be so much mad at that. They would just be mad at the fact that Brock Lesnar just ended the streak. Another part timer ended one of the few things that the fans could hold on to, which was the streak.
Well, I'd be
I,
mad at, anybody beating the streak at this point, but at the very most, I would want somebody that could, do something with it in the future and something that built up and it mattered when they won. I don't want to see shock value for the hell of it. And they're kind of screwed one way or the other. If they have Undertaker win, then they broadcasted it ahead of time, and obviously that was going to happen. And why even bother watching the match unless it's for some reason a stellar match, which I don't think it's going to be. And if you have Brock Lesnar win just because you want to do the opposite of what the fans think, then you go, well, what the fuck? I don't care if it's a shock. I don't want to see that shock. So they're really just fucking up here. The build is probably half the fun, and the other half being the match itself with the Undertaker matches at WrestleMania. And we haven't gotten any of that. It's a shame. John, what do you think's happening here?
Don't give a flying fuck. Undertaker's winning. Big whoop-de-doo.
Are you going with Undertaker winning too, Miguel?
yeah, I mean it's the safe bet at this point.
Lego?
as far as this match goes, I've definitely got The Undertaker winning. It's a surefire thing. The build for this match has been so subpar, and it's been said 1,000 times, and I don't understand what their idea of booking this behind was. I mean, if you're gonna have them go at it each week, you could at least give Brock the upper hand a bit more. He's looked absolutely shit against Undertaker, and the one time he did get any offense in, he had to do it really cheaply. So he doesn't seem like a legit threat, especially after they're like, well, Undertaker's winning. And then the following week they're like, yeah, he's winning, and he's old. So it's like, you're going to get your ass kicked by an old man, legitimate MMA fighter. So the whole booking behind this has been really lazy, and I don't understand why. Predictability is okay if the road to there is a lot of fun, and it hasn't been. CM Punk versus Undertaker. We knew that CM Punk was going to lose that match, but I sure as hell enjoyed the build-up to it.
Right.
Shawn Michaels versus The Undertaker. We knew Undertaker was winning. Sure as hell enjoyed the build to that. Same with Triple H. Some of those video packages were awesome. It's just lazy booking on their part, and it's really sad.
Okay, main event time in the next two parts. Daniel Bryan against Triple H, and then Randy Orton versus Batista versus whatever ends up happening in the other match.